Also, this bird is trying to attack my face. I mean, I don't think this would be allowed in any court of law. But this is Phoenix Wright, so fuck it. Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. So we're presumably going to be finishing off Turnabout Big Top. I'm not entirely 100% on that, presumably. We do have, at the very least, have all the information that we need to actually go into the trial. We should be able to finish off the trial. I believe today is the final trial. I'm not entirely 100%. I'm pretty sure it's the last day. I don't know. But in any case, we're gonna just go into the trial. So let's just get into it. Press button. Load. December 30th, 9:41 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 5. Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah. Good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up for it. Teehee. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina! How fabulous! My sweetie pie! My sweet pie princess! You came to watch my performance today? Of course I did. Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that. So, what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess. You'll fly at the end? Probably not, considering what's going on with the whole murder trial thing, but... it's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweet pie princess doesn't... yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on. Or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise up the curtain. I'll see you later. Today, I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Well, that's... Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Yeah, she's just, she's kind of a little bit detached from reality. We've established that, so... I don't know. Maybe showing up and watching the court case would be good for her? Maybe? Top of the morning to you. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in the legal limbo. How low can you go? But Mo, top of the morning to you, governor. Top of the morning. That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain functions. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my, thanks. Why is everybody giving him milk? So how are you today, Wright? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line. Literally. Yeah, because he's an acrobat. Okay, that one was pretty funny, and I don't think he was trying to make a joke there. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Right, because she kind of needs to know. Because I wasn't Bat like an important person to her? Isn't that what's going to be exposed today? I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm not entirely 100%. It's been a few weeks, or however long it's been since I last played this game. In any case, we're just gonna kind of get into it. So, then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. Oh, I see. Yeah, that, and her father got murdered too. So you're trying to bring her out of her shell so that she realizes what actually happened, and she finally realizes the gravity of the situation. Makes perfect sense, actually. You want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. Yeah, right. I forgot that was a thing she believes. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Alright, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mo. We're gonna do this. For you, buddy. December 30th, 10 a.m., District Court, courtroom number 2. Also, this is the last court case of the year, apparently? Because it's going directly into the 31st, so... yeah, the last full court case of the year. Alright, well, let's do it. Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. Not a good sign. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. Huh. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly out from the scene of the crime. Order, order. I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. Okay. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scenes on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Yeah. Gumshoe is the butt of every joke in this game. Well, that and the actual butt of the joke, Larry Butts. Yeah, usually, yeah, so Gumshoe's just the butt of every joke in this trilogy, and the joke of this franchise. I don't know if he shows up in the later games or not. I haven't played the later games, I've only played these. I know there's an anime about it, and apparently it's kind of got a mixed reaction. I don't know. I may actually sit down and watch it and see if it's actually as bad as people think it is, but who knows? I might sit down and do that. I don't know. Very well, please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work. Or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Alright. There he is, man in the wheelchair himself. Also, that's a lot of birds that they're just allowing in the courtroom. Name and occupation. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the very big circus. Where were you the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. Oh, that's Von Karma talking. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. Alright, this is gonna be interesting. What I witnessed? Okay. Well, it was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large stomp noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. Huh. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. Huh. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. Yeah, this is getting problematic, but we've gotten out tighter spots. This is gonna be fine. If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. Okay, that was a lot of alliteration of fool and sad and all. Okay, apparently I'm a depressed fool. That's just what we're going with. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix, right? Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did. Don't bring him up, please. Alright. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well. You may proceed with your cross-examination. Alright. Alright, what I witnessed. I'm assuming pressing him is going to get me in trouble. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Okay. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Yeah. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. What do I have in evidence? I got a full bar of stamina, by the way. Brown Zack had taken from the cafeteria before the crime. Check. Yeah, there's also this thing. I don't know. Yeah, there's a bit of evidence that we have here. Check. Not much, but there's the bus. There's Max himself and the bunny girls. That's all we got for evidence. Okay, it was Max Electra. Okay. I'm not entirely sure. Pressing isn't going to work, but we've already established that. Well, let's see what happens. Since we got full stamina, we might as well check to see what happens if we do press the wrong thing. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. Okay, fair enough. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Oh, you don't own curtains. Haha, sometimes I do make myself useful and I do make myself useful in these chambers. Ow! The witness will proceed with his testimony. Okay. Well, around that time I heard a large stump noise from outside the window. That would have been presumably been the attack. Your room was on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That is correct. Which means that the thump would have woken you up. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? It would have woken him up, at the very least. I was indeed. Pressing Acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe something was contradictory in what he just said just now. There might be a contradiction. Well, is there a contradiction? If he was asleep, he wouldn't have heard it. That is a point! That's a valid point! Thank you, Phoenix! I think that is a valid point. If he was asleep, he wouldn't have been able to hear it. Or at the very least, he would have been, I don't know. Maybe it is a contradiction? There's a huge contradiction within the testimony that was just given. Uh-oh. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? Uh-oh. I don't have any. Well, isn't there there's an autopsy report here. Time of death, 10:15 p.m. Caused blunt force trauma to the back of the head. There is a contradiction. Well, it would have been... Check? What is this one? Maybe at 10 p.m. tonight at the Lodging House Plaza. Well... Well, there would have been... I have no idea. But I can't move on. His time of death was at 10:15. Which means he would have had to have been awake at the time. I don't know. I'm just... There's only a couple of things that mention the time. There's only a couple of things that mention the time here. It's either... it's either this or this. I get the feeling this isn't going to be important yet. He died at 12... Let's present this. So this... What in the world is this? Ow! You don't just get, do you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? What don't I get? You're not going to be able to get through this one with your usual bluff routine. Your client looks up to be ready to take off once again. Straight towards a guilty verdict. You were bluffing? I will not forgive any more mockeries made of this court. Whoops. Witness, would you mind repeating your testimony? Certainly. Okay, that didn't take off any... press? Well, what did you said that you were resting in bed. One would assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, okay, what do I got? Press? Well, pressing is your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing Acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe there's something... I don't think there's a contradiction. Court record? No, he was resting in his bed, but... I don't see anything wrong. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. Until I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. Okay. A few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. Around the time I heard a large thump noise. Okay. Press? Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin, or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible. You have no need to mimic words with Mr. Phoenix Wright. Testify to the truth and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. I wonder if Acro's statement jives with the facts. Well? There might be a... Actually, I think there might be a... There might be a contradiction there. Nothing... I don't see anything wrong for now. It was Max Galactic. I saw him from behind, but that's what it looked like. And a few moments later, I saw someone well, you only saw him from behind, but based on what I saw with the backstory, it seems that he might have seen the hat as well. So I'm gonna press this and see if that does anything. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window. The safety light lit up everything enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat, as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. Well, I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. Well, now we have evidence. The more I press him, the less results it seems to get. But maybe there was something fishy in this lady's bit of testimony. Yes, there's a contradiction. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Okay, it seems to be the same thing every time. But we know the silk hat. We know he couldn't have seen the silk hat because it was found on the ground. So, present! Your claim seems to be the exact thing that Max Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside the window was tough enough to challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? No, it's the silk hat. Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has two silk hats? Probably. He is that kind of person, but I doubt it. No, this is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Okay, never mind. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand. Order, order. As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? Well, he has a grudge? No. Acro is the real culprit. Your Honor? On this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion? Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Barrett. Okay. Now it's coming out. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. Ha ha ha. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab all the audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to almost be scary. He is staying rather calm and collected. Also, this bird is trying to attack my face. I mean, I don't think this would be allowed in any court of law. But this is Phoenix Wright, so fuck it. Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up on myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of a murder of all things. This is gonna be interesting. See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear that the accusation is ludicrous. Is it, though? She's right. Way to pick the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head. Wow. See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, then that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice. What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Actually, yes! Well, if we're going by, he has a monkey that takes care of him. I mean, it's not much, but we were able to get a parrot on the stand once, and that worked out pretty well, so... Court record? Acro worked I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Well, that depends. He would have worked by... This is interesting. Because... Okay, thinking about this for a minute. That's a dangerous pastime, but, thinking about this for a minute. If he did have an accomplice, it would have to have been the monkey. But, he could have easily... We know the bust went missing, so it's possible he dropped a bust on his head and then just called it a day and pulled it back up. No, he wouldn't need an accomplice. He could have easily just dropped the statue from the lodging house. He wouldn't need an accomplice. So, yes? No? I'm gonna go with no and hope I'm right. Now then, this must be what we hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? Oh, that works. Okay. You're not going to sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Order! Order! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm going to have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Rusty Barry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I think so. Actually, I do have some court evidence. I have this note that he made, which works as evidence, and then I have a picture of the Max Galactica bust, which I'm pretty sure is the murder weapon. I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright, if this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear up something for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? Well, if he couldn't have left the lodging house, so he would have had to have been in his room. He would have had to have been in his room at the time of the attack. Because this is where the lobby is. That's where the murder took place. He could have easily dropped something. He could have easily stayed in his room and committed the entire murder from there. He wouldn't have. If we're going by evidence, all he would have needed to do to invoke blunt trauma to the back of the head is drop something from his window and hope to God he hits them, which wouldn't have been hard. Even though he's in a wheelchair, he would have been perfectly fine. He could have been in his room and done it that way. He wouldn't have needed to leave his room, is what I'm getting at. He was obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room. Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can only be one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? He's not saying anything. It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you propose is impossible, yes, that's it. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he was in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Most say that he clearly saw Max, didn't he? Yeah, but Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? I guess so. What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... She's right, I can mess up here. I've got to get this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us on how Mr. Dingling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. Present evidence. I'm pretty sure I know how. I'm going to present some evidence. So, what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of the murder against Rosa Berry? I'm pretty... Well... The bronze statue. Obviously. The bronze statue, because it looks like because it looks exactly like Max, regardless of how... Because the entire thing, it looks exactly like Max, but with the hat on. And we found the hat at the scene of the crime, so that's the only thing that makes sense. It would have been the murder weapon because it could have been dropped, and then it could have been picked, and then it could have been retrieved. It could have been easily retrieved by pulling on a string or something. So that's what I'm going with. What's that? A picture. It is indeed. The problem is with that item that's shown in the picture. The bust. It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-size, it's also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah! And he's pissed. See, this is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactical's ample bust. Order. So you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster. A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like that bust. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? He's pissed. Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, Acro, you can't run away from things like that. Ow! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? Bunk Karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond. Alright. The defense's objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. That woman will sink into any low to win the case. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, let's do this! Acro's physical state. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? Fishy, fishy, fishy. I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony. That's fair. It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself up that far out the window to look. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries. That's what I'm thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. Sure. I can't let her get at me. I've got to focus. Alright. Alright, Acro's physical state. Alright, let's just push everything, because I don't know if we're going to be... I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. Yeah, press. Have you ever lifted up the bust before? No, I have never actually lifted it up with my very own 2 hands. But I should get to it, don't you think? I can't let money outdo me on this. Money? That crazy monkey has lifted Max's bust before? Please continue with your testimony, Mr. Dingling. I have a strong upper body for working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. Yeah, we know that. So, what have you been doing to keep in shape? Well, honestly, I've given up on training. I don't have any plans to return to the trapeze or the tightrope. You don't say. But, no offense, I'm not worried about losing to you in a race or anything. Neither am I, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I won't lose either, Slowpoke. I mean, Nick. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How did the discussion turn to me all of a sudden? I suppose you could say I'm stronger than the average bear. Okay. I'm stronger than the average bear, eh, boo-boo? That's my impression of Yo-Yo Bear. Did you like it? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going with there. However, lifting bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. Yes, because of your legs. And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't gotten much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window? There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. How long do you think your recovery will take? You have to remember that my nerves were severely damaged. I'm currently undergoing some extremely intensive rehabilitation, but it's still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%. Let me remind you of another very important point. If the witness was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see out below the window. Well, maybe he wouldn't. That makes it impossible for you to know the location of the ringmaster's head. Why do you say it would have been impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out below the window? Thus, there's no way that I would know the location of the ringmaster's head. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick? Huh? What if you turn things around? Maybe if you think of it sort of like this. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust. That does make sense. If only I could prove somehow that Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking down. I think I've already explained these things sufficiently. Well, that was... If he knew... Well, looking at it the other way, then. The way Maya suggested. Well, I could present this. Check. Well, Photomax's awards. This is the only thing I can think of, because this would have enabled him to know. He would have known when to drop the thing down the window. He wouldn't have had to look. He would have just assumed someone was there at 10 p.m. and then just chucked it out the window. If I am thinking about this, he would have been able to use this. This would have been. This is the linchpin, because we know this note exists. Also, the victim was hunched over this one, but I'm assuming this was placed at the scene of the crime to lower whoever was in. Well, let's present this, because this is clearly evidence. This is clearly important. This clearly would have put the victim right where he needed to be, because we know that he stuck this in Regina's pocket, and then she stuck it up on the notice board. So this thing's. I think this is my piece of evidence I need to move forward with this. Oh. That statement contradicts his evidence. Well, shit. Well, that is the piece of evidence I need. This would have been unrealistic when we dropped the bus on him, don't you think? Press? If all you had to do was drop it, then it wouldn't have been a problem at all. If all I have to do is drop it, you're right, I could have done that. However, there is no way that I could land a direct hit on the ringmaster's head. So that kind of makes your theory a bit pointless, doesn't it, Mr. Wright? Acro is strong enough to lift up the bust. The main problem is how he could have aimed for the ringmaster's head. I wonder if he used some kind of tool to aim for the ringmaster. That's the ticket next. Show him what you got. I had to be careful. I had to find something that fits perfectly with the case. I don't remember us finding any sort of tool. The box, though! But maybe we overlooked something. Well, the box! Well, present? There's the box! There's also the box! Which means he would have known. Which means whoever was... This box would have just been sitting in the middle of... This box was found just sitting in the middle of the thing. It was just there. This seems like it. That's the only evidence. That's the only other piece of evidence I have that fits. So maybe present this? He would have known this would have been there ahead of time, so he could have done that. Yes! Acro, you didn't really need to lean out the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I might add. You silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence? But I did such a good job hinting. Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. Yeah. The picture would have also worked, too. The key point here is the wooden box. That same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over? That's the same. The question is, who placed the wooden box there? Who? When Bad and Company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bus came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. You mean... If the bus were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box, then there would be no way it could have missed the head of the victim. No! That's a valid point, Mr. Wright. Thank you. Order. This is unbelievable. Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward. So the next question I have to ask is, who placed that wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Ow! Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright. Ow! The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. Then that's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. The weight of the box. The weight of the box, wasn't it? Court record? Wasn't the box like really heavy? It's 20 pounds, yeah. The weight of the box. The box had a remarkable weight. Wait. According to the court record, it weighed 20 pounds? Just to lift up this one box would have required Oh, I see. One would have to squat down and then lift it with their body, wouldn't you say? That's exactly what I'm trying to point out. The box is also very large. The box also has a carrying handles on either side, doesn't it? That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be approximately in the same place. Fool! And he's not even fazed by any of this. Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills. You... Did you do it? Did you place a wooden box in the plaza? Mr. Wright may have the vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? I remember. Yes, it was in the cafeteria. Christ. Okay. Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria. Then what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bus from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bus from the cafeteria to my room? Well... Money! It's shiny! Money likes shiny things! And it seems like a done deal there. You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Explain that. Don't forget, you said there is no accomplice. Ah. So that's exactly how the witness would have carried that bus from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen every once and for all. Alright, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bus from the cafeteria back to his room? Well, there was no accomplice, but there was a monkey! The monkey that happens to just live in his room for whatever reason. And gathers shiny things. And the bus is very shiny, right? Yeah, it's sparkly. Look at it. It sparkles. There's no way Money would have turned that down. So, Money the monkey. A monkey? Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size. Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist ring. So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home. Home? Money lives in Acro's room. Acro's room? Objection! But the bus was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Objection! Maybe you should put a whip down sometime and read the court record. My, those are some very nice cards he's holding. Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny. Yeah. Acro? Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bus back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for a new roommate. Order! Order! I said order! Miss Von Karma, where's the bus in question at this moment? I don't know. Well, that might be a bad idea. We're searching for it as we speak. This is a rather strange turn of events. But let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then? Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bust was the murder weapon purely by accident? It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer. Moron! Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit stizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow! Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright. And what is that? You don't know. You should know. Oh, you should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. Ah. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony. If that's true, how do you respond to that, Mr. Wright? Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn the trial around. When the murder occurred, there were 2 people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw? Well, if we're going by evidence, it would have been the bronze statue. It would have had to have been the statue, because the statue looks exactly like Max Galactica. It would have had to have been the bronze statue. It looks exactly like him, so it would have been an easy mistake to make. There is no way in hell anybody could have mistaken that. So, I'm assuming the statue. Because the statue looks is a spitting image of Max Galactica. So it could have, so regardless of how this evidence turns out, it would have looked like Max Galactica regardless. So even if Acro stayed in his room, he would have seen Max Galactica. Because he would have used the statue as the murder weapon. Which means the murder weapon? He would have seen the murder weapon. He saw Max's Ow! I asked who was the other person most on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. Au contraire, mon frere. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Most said they saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? It's simple, really. What most saw that night was actually Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? Well, yes, and that's where we got to this point. So, yes. Silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak. There's no reason you couldn't attach a cloak to the bust. It would be easy to hang one off the cards in the bust hands. Idiot. Who the right one would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just hang on, wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of the utmost importance in the case, don't you agree? Doh, he caught me. So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? Well, that's an interesting... Well... The thing is that Russell Berry was wearing it at the night of the crime. So... He was wearing it the night that he was wearing it he wore it to the scene of the crime, and that's how it got. And that's how the top hat wound up there. If I had to guess, I would assume that as he died. Well, if we're trying to go by the game's logic here, I would assume that when he died, it just kind of got stuck. If I had to guess, I mean that's the only logical explanation. That's the only thing I can think of, is that he died, and when he died, it just got stuck. That's the only thing that makes sense. So, present this. Fool! Him? You're saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry. That's all. That's what I'm saying. The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust. Place the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright? Explain yourself. Nick, do you really have the handle on all this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright. So, you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Alright. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust. And dangled the bust out of his bedroom window, directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But, just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house. By none other than a ventriloquist and his puppet, Ben and Trillo. Okay. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At that very instant that the bust hit the victim, it got stuck. You wait just a second there, Mr. Finish Right. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Mr. Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet. What? The impact of the bust and the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bust being raised with a cloak dangling on it. Primarily because, in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. Perfect? I mean, definitely. And that is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. I mean, that makes perfect sense, I guess. This game, man. This game is nutty. So, you see, the only person who could have pulled us off is the one person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could only have been you. Okay, he's not saying anything. Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip. Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence? Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. But there is still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay, then use that and get out of this jam. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick that this magician up to this magic case. Well, okay, so I looked it up. Apparently, it's a promo poster, which is what I thought it was. So, the problem is Max's three symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Yesterday, there were two contradictions in Moe's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses was the other. But the theory I just presented explains all these contradictions. You fool, do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Moe said yesterday. He testified to the criminal that fleeing the sign was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Moe said was actually the busts. That's a good point. Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of. Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction? The other contradiction? Remember what the ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like to see him try to explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. What was that? Please recall the incident when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? They would have been hidden from you, so nobody could have seen them. Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged on the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Ah! Which explains why Moe didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back of the side of the bust. Alright, evidence! It's piling up! Order! Order! Well? That is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds like a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads. Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. And she's snarky and confident as ever. Fine. Well, neither of them are phased at all. Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something to making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude toward the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. That's a valid point, but there's also a Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Yes, but there was also the incident with his brother, which I think I know what happened. Based on what we've already know, we know there was an incident with Regina. Regina. We know that was a thing. I'm thinking. So we also know he couldn't have seen out his window. So maybe he assumed it was Regina. I have no idea. Acro's motive. It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel that this is a good place to take a break. That's fair enough. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess. Okay, thank you. That's the end of this. That's the end of the story for now. To be continued. Okay. Well, that is a valid point, though. There would have been there has to be a motive. And I think I know what the motive is. So, yeah, I think we're going to leave it here, but there's clearly some interesting stuff there. There's clearly some interesting stuff there that we need to unpack and dissect. So, I think I know what the motive might be, particularly regarding the whole brother thing, but I don't know. I don't know how that actually plays into the case yet. I think I have an idea. We know that the murder, we know based on the note that he tried to get Regina into the position where he could kill her, possibly. Because we know the ringmaster saw the note, it was meant for Regina, and then he went out instead. So, there's clearly something there that happened. There's clearly something fishy there that occurred because of that. So, we're going to have to dissect that next episode, but for right now, I think I'm going to leave this episode here. We made some significant headway in the case. We've basically narrowed down that the murder could have only been taking place in this exact scenario, but there's also the question of motive, which I think we're going to tackle next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks and my way saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and also next time I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!